Hey everyone. Sorry, this is kind of a mess. I'm currently at the beach in New Jersey. Here's the beach. You can kind of see it. Today I'm going to teach you a lesson on the 9/11 memorial attack, which my classmates, I guess we could all kind of relate to that. I remember I was actually in 5th grade when the event occurred, and I just remember the first thing I was mad about is I didn't have a soccer game that day. It got canceled, and I couldn't really understand why it got canceled. But, you know, I can still picture everything that happened that day, everything that was on TV, as far as just imagery of what happened, the buildings being crashed into, everything like that. My dad's actually from New York, so that kind of, hit home a little bit for me as well, just seeing that he knew people that were actually went under the attack. So that was kind of hard to see, and I actually flew to New York City 2 years on September 11th. So that was just kind of a different scene. But the cool thing was that I actually went to New York this past Christmas break. I have 2 teammates that live up there that are in physical therapy school, and I actually got to go see the 9/11 memorial. And honestly, if you haven't seen it, it's probably one of the most touching, neatest experiences that I could probably ever be a part of. Just even knowing, exactly what the attack was and stuff like that. I know with history subjects like World War I and World War II, like we hear about it. We have friends maybe serving in the armed forces, but we weren't a part of it. But this is something that we were truly a part of, and I think it's cool that being able to be on the other side and kind of teaching it is just something more that we can relate to in a sense, and I just think that that's interesting in itself. So my lesson was really focused on teaching the students the importance of that attack, the events that happened, what kind of took place, and what we're kind of going through now. And what I really wanted my students to learn is, I played them videos and taught them and showed them the distinct images that we saw growing up on the news. And I wanted them to build some sort of memorial icon, whether it be, a firefighter helmet made out of paper, and put the distinct days of things that happened. Or you think New York, you think big buildings, maybe they wanted to build a skyline, and I really just kind of wanted to leave it up to them. So I'm going to go over with you my lesson today. Again, sorry for the crazy scenery and background and hecticness of the lesson, but I have my lesson reviewed here. And for this, we're going to use computers, obviously with internet access as well. I'm going to play a video and some YouTube clips, kind of just to show the students what happened that day. Newspapers, magazines, any kind of sources that they can find, whether it's via internet, maybe their parents have something, anything like that. Large mural paper. You remember when we were younger, the big butcher papers, we called it, that was on big rolls that you could roll out. And lastly, just pencils, colored pencils, crayons, markers, glitter, anything kind of crafty that we can really help the students be more creative in the sense. So the students will discuss the tragedy that took place on September 11, 2011. So students, what could you tell me happened on that day? Yes, it was a big tragic event. Does anybody know where it took place? Yes, it took place in New York. Who can tell me kind of what was affected on that day? Yes, 2 major buildings. Does anybody know what those buildings are called? Yeah, it's called the World Trade Center. Now, who can raise their hand and tell me how many buildings? 1? No, it was actually 2. It's important to understand there was 2 buildings that took place that day. Tower 1 and Tower 2, that obviously, through the memorial, if you ever get a chance to visit, or I recommend, like I said before, they actually took the squares and where which the buildings stood, and it's actually 2 waterfalls. Now around that waterfall, which I think is interesting, is it was actually a woman who created the JSU softball field. If you ever get a chance to go up to the JSU softball field, when you walk in, there's a gate and huge iron cast lettering and all the events that they occurred and how many championships they won. It's the same woman who actually designed and created on the outer edges of the memorial is every person's name that was actually part of the attack. So I think it's kind of cool, given a little background, that the woman's right in Piedmont. So that's just kind of a fun fact in itself. So, sorry, my computer kind of went down. Class, in which direction in the United States is New York located? I think that's a very important topic. We all know what's a compass. Yes, a compass is something that shows us the direction of which way we're facing. Now remember, we have north, south, east, and west. And I'm going to give you a funny acronym that I used growing up that I think everyone can relate to. Never eat soggy waffles. So we start with never eat soggy waffles. Alright, now, with this we can relate to that New York is kind of up here in the United States. So that would be the north. Now if we go this direction, never eat east. So can we class, what direction is New York located in? Yes, the northeast part of the United States. Students, today we're going to go learn about the history and importance of September 11th, 2001. Students, what state did we say this occurred in? New York, yes. Now, students, which two buildings were affected again? We went over this. Building 1 and Building 2 of the World Trade Center. Now, when we think of New York, what could we possibly tend to think of? The Statue of Liberty, correct. And now, what color is the Statue of Liberty? Green, yes, the Statue of Liberty is green. Now, does anybody tell me what the Statue of Liberty is? It is a neoclassical sculpture on the Liberty Island in the middle of New York Harbor in Manhattan City. And it is green with a woman holding, now, can we remember what she's holding? Fire. A torch, yes, she is holding a torch. Now, students, we have gone over the memorial date of September 11th. What is September 11th? It is a memorial holiday of the event that took place in which year? Correct, 2001. Now we're going to divide the class into groups. Within these groups, think of plans and memorials that commemorate these events, whether it be firefighters, policemen, the Statue of Liberty, soldiers that came and helped, smoke, anything that you can think of. You know, I'm going to split you up into groups, and I want you to design a memorial piece. And given the things I listed, or anything that you can think of, and put down important facts that you have learned throughout the lesson. Use information from these sources, and you're going to create a list about September 11th. Events, people, emotions, ideas. Have students cite their sources. Now, students, if you find something on the internet, remember we're going to cite, including books, articles, bibliographies, anything of that sort of nature, and I will teach you, we'll go over how to cite that. Every group will come up with the classroom and present the memorial item into the group of what they've found important through the understanding of what happened during 9/11. Students, what happened on our great nation on September 11th? Yes, we were attacked by terrorists. Took the which buildings again? Correct. 1 and 2. Now, students who were involved in helping rescue the people during the attack and the crashes of the buildings. Now, who were involved? Policemen, good. Firefighters, correct. Now, any soldiers you think? Yes, there actually were some soldiers. Actually, if you see some movies, there's some old soldiers that used to be Marines or vets that actually put back on their uniform and came back and helped go through the rubbish and everything like that to help find some people that were still under all the buildings and stuff. Now, we're going to present 3 groups each day, so that way we can really assure that we have time for every group and stuff like that. You know, and I'm really focusing on seeing that the students work well together in the groups. What kind of ideas maybe they bounced off of each other. Did every student speak in the group? That is very important. I don't want to see one student just talking. I want to see all the students talking. They have 15 minutes to present each memorial item to the class. I would like to hear how they came up with the idea, if they developed the idea. Lastly, students, we're going to go home and I want you to interview your parents. Who are you interviewing? Your parents. You're to ask them, where were they on the day that this occurred? Sorry, it's hard to see. Do you remember what happened? Were any of your parents involved in the military services? And maybe if they are still currently serving, would they like to come in and speak on behalf of what they do in their job? What kind of entails? Do they travel? Have they been deployed? Are they going to be deployed? Anything like that I think is very important for our young students to learn, as well as the event that impacted not only my life, your life, anything like that. So I hope you really liked the lesson. That's my plan. Have a good one.